Hi, everybody. I hope that you guys are doing well. I guess technically we're Saturday night, aren't we? It's 7:30 where I am, 8:30 if you're in Houston. So it's Saturday night and I ain't got nobody. I got some money because I just got paid. All right. So what are we going to talk about? I know. It is a very strange title for this video, but we're going to kind of go way off deep into fiction. False, fake, made up. All right, let's just be clear before we ever get started. This is fiction. Hey, Pam Frenchman, how are you? Justice Jane, how are you doing? Caught my first live in such a long time. Hey, Honey K, well, I'm glad you did. We're going to do something different. We're going to do something that's not the norm, okay? And I hope you guys will just bear with me, all right? Because I have I've been doing some brainstorming, okay? I've been doing some brainstorming on the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, all the facts in the case, all the various multiple players and how they could have influenced one another either before the disappearance or since the disappearance, correct? Hey, Paul Boone, welcome. And I've been brainstorming. And I'm telling you, it's an interesting thought, okay? Now, as I was working through the facts and the people that were involved in this story, Sebastian, Christopher Proudfoot, Katie, Seth, as I went through this person by person, strength by strength, weakness by weakness, there was a pattern that emerged in the story. And I had this epiphany that the pattern is Medea, right? Euripides Medea. Now, if you don't like Greek mythology and whatnot, in a nutshell, Medea was a enchantress, right? She was royalty from the coast of the Black Sea. And she ends up meeting, this insatiable, narcissistic guy named Jason. Think Christopher Proudfoot. She ends up meeting and falling in love with this guy, Jason. And Medea does as any, woman that is in love. She uses everything she's got to support the man she loves. She makes incredible sacrifices for him, like betraying her own father, killing her own brother, helping Jason to steal a prized possession, a very valuable possession of her father. And to make a long story short, after she helps Jason steal these things and destroys her relationship with her family, causes her kingdom, her people to hate her, she then leaves with Jason and goes back to his land where she believes she's going to live out her days as the love object of her man, Jason. And she, in fact, does have children with Jason. She ends up having 2 sons. And then things start falling apart. Things begin to fall apart. There are changes in the politics of the day. There's political influences that can affect one's inheritance and fortunes. And to make a long story short, Jason, the ever-present narcissistic lover of money and gold, he ultimately makes the decision that he must abandon Medea including their 2 children. He must abandon Medea to secure the fortune of marrying a princess who is actually there in the country where they live. So basically, if he marries this princess, then he inherits a great amount of gold, right? That's the whole motivation. So Medea is then left alone and abandoned, discarded, rejected in a place where she knows no one. She has no family left. Her own kingdom has rejected her because her behavior was so bad as she tried to support Jason. And she's left with these 2 children that have now been discarded with her. And she's frightened and alone and has no idea how she's going to make it in the world. All right. So that's it in a nutshell in terms of Euripides Medea. And so I'm going to play. Hey, Brittany, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to play a bit of an actual play where the old crone, the old slave, is lamenting about Medea. Jason has already left her. She has already been discarded. She's in the palace or the house. They're trying to keep the 2 little boys away from her as she's in the throes of her grief. And just stay with me because this has a purpose. This is going somewhere. Okay. So here we go. I'm slow, but I'm old. Y'all just wait on me. Here we go.
I wish the long ship Argo had never passed that perilous channel between the Symplegades.
By the way, I forgot to mention Jason and Medea. Yeah, they sailed the 7 seas together. That's right. They were both in the Navy.
I wish the pines that made her mast and her oars still waved in the wind on Mount Pelion. The gray fishhawks still nested in them. The great adventurers had never voyaged into the Asian sunrise to the shores of morning for the golden fleece.
The golden fleece is what I said, that Medea helped Jason steal the golden fleece from her father, who was the king. And so the old crone is lamenting that Jason ever went in search of the gold fleece, and that Medea met Jason, and all of that, sailing together on the ocean, falling in love, all of that has now culminated in this horrifying, tragic moment.
But then my mistress Medea would never have seen Jason, nor loved and saved him, nor cut herself off from home to come with him into this country of the smiling, chattering Greeks and the roofs of Corinth, over which I see evil hang like a cloud. She is not meek, but fierce, and the daughter of a king. Yet at first all went well. The folk of Corinth were kind to her. They were proud of her beauty, and Jason loved her. Happy is the house where the man and the woman love and are faithful. Now all is changed. All is black hatred. For Jason has turned from her. He calls the old bond a barbarian mating, not a Greek marriage. He's cast her off and wedded the yellow-haired child of Creon, the ruler here. He wants worldly advantage, fine friends, and a high place in Corinth. And for these, he's willing to cast Medea like a harlot and betray the children that she's borne him. He is not wise, I think. But
Now, Medea, there's actually 3 iterations of Medea that's been presented throughout history. But in total, if you look at all of the presentations, Medea is always presented as strong, ruthless, a woman who was so jaded and betrayed that her thirst for vengeance and self-preservation would lead her to the darkest of actions. And indeed, as it turned out, in the end, her acts of barbarianism actually did secure her safety.
Medea lies in the house, broken with pain and rage. She will neither eat nor drink except her own tears. She turns her face toward the earth, remembering her father's house and her native land, which she abandoned for love of this man who now despises her. And if I try to speak comfort to her, she only stares at me.
So Medea lost her whole family. She sacrificed all of her family to be with this one man, Jason, who was really just a selfish, spoiled child who was always planning, conniving, manipulating. Stay with me.
Great eyes like stones. She's like
green eyes like stone. There's some parallels here, people, between Medea and Katie Proudfoot that are kind of interesting.
Like a stone on the shore or a wave of the sea. And I think she hates even her children. She's learning what it is to be a foreigner, cast out alone and despised. She will never learn to be humble. She will never learn to drink insult like harmless water. Oh, I'm in terror of her. Whether she'll thread a knife through her own heart, or whether she'll hunt the bridegroom and his new bride, or what more dreadful evil stalks through the forest of her dark mind.
You see, Jason didn't just leave her and abandon she and her son. Jason married the princess of the land in which they lived. As Medea is cast out of her land, she too was a princess, but they betrayed the king. Jason would have had all of those riches, but they betrayed him because he was so gold, money thirsty for the golden fleece. So they were outcasts from Medea's land. She came to live in a new land, and now Jason has seduced the princess, the daughter of the king in the land where they live, and Medea is now cast away. Medea is cast aside along with the children as Jason seduces the princess, marries her, and now has everything he wanted. There's a new princess that Jason wants to live with.
I know that Jason would have been wiser to tempt a lioness or naked-handed steal the whelps of a tiger. Here come the happy children. Little they know of their mother's grief.
Is she still in that deep despair?
You're a lucky old watchdog of Jason's boys. You do not see her. This evil is not declining. It is just at dawn. I dread the lion-eyed glare of its noon.
She's so wrought. Neither you nor Medea knows the latest and worst.
What? What?
Oh, I shouldn't have spoken. No,
Tell me the truth, old man. You and I are two slaves. We can trust each other.
I heard them saying when we walked beside the holy fountain, Pyrene, where the old men sit in the sun on the stone benches. They were saying that Creon, the lord of this land, intends to drive out Medea and the children with her, these innocent boys, out of this house and out of Corinth. They must.
The king and Jason are going to drive Medea and her son out of their house.
Wander the wild world, homeless and helpless.
No, I don't believe it. No, Jason may hate the mother, but he would hardly let his sons be cast out. I hear her voice. Take the children away from her. Keep them away from her. Take them to the other door, quickly.
Here comes Medea.
This is my wish. For myself, for my enemies, my children.
This is my terror to hear, always harking back to the children like a fierce hound at fault. Oh, unhappy one, dare not to.
Medea is now blaming the children for the loss of her husband. And if you really get into the play, if you really read the literature, the children created a loss of wealth based on changes that were made during Greek law at the time.
To blame.
If any God hears me, let me know.
Oh, it's a bad thing to be born of high race and brought up willful and powerful in a great house, unruled and ruling many. But then, if misfortune comes, it is unendurable. I say that poor people are happier. Little commoners and humble people are poor in spirit. They can lie low under the wind and live, while the tall oaks and cloud-raking mountain pines go mad in the storm, writhe, groan, and crash. This is the wild and terrible justice of God. It brings on great persons, the great disasters.
Hell hath no fury as a woman scorned.
I hear her crying again. It is dreadful. Her lamentation. She is beautiful and deep in grief.
Now, these are the women of Corinth. They have come to try to offer comfort to the betrayed Medea. And this is Medea. Yeah. Some call her a wizard. Some say she was a witch. Some people just say that she was a sympathetic hero villain.
They know about drugs and magic. They are savages, but they have a wild wisdom.
Oh, look at the light of the sun this last time. I wish from that blue sky the white wolf of lightning would leap and burst my skull and my brain, and like a burning babe cling to these breasts.
It's quite dramatic.
I did not know I had visitors. Women of Corinth, if anything has been spoken too loudly here, consider that I believed I was alone, and I have some provocation. You've come, let me suppose, with love and sympathy to peer at my sorrow. I understand well enough that nothing is ever private in a Greek city.
Now, I want to just kind of draw some parallels here, okay? Shall we? You see, Katie Proudfoot had a family. She had her supposed foster family. She had Seth. She had Sebastian. And as she's sailing the seas with, I guess, Christopher, she gives everything up for him. The security of family disintegrates because she wants to be with Christopher. Now, I think that it's a fairly safe bet to say that one might describe Christopher Proudfoot as cunning and manipulative, that perhaps he dabbles in goal attainment using other people as tools, because you don't get through 4 or 5 marriages without there being a basic problem somewhere. Somehow, Christopher must have been marrying for all the wrong reasons, never getting his actual goal met or his needs met, correct? But he ends up then with Katie. And Sebastian just sort of becomes the baggage, correct? They move, they build their big $700,000 house. Katie's living the life of the middle class, upper middle class person for the first time in her life. The Bower Sox and the Proud Feet, they have clout, they have standing in their small community. I guess we could say they're big fish in a small pond. And for the first time in her life, perhaps Katie feels proud of the position, the station in life that she has. And so she will do whatever it is that Christopher needs her to do to maintain her status. Like, for example, setting Nina up to try to steal the baby from Nina. Maybe not being something that Katie especially enjoyed, but because she is beholden to Christopher for her standard of living and the fact that she's now entered mainstream life, there's now money available if she wants to go buy something. No longer does she have to count pennies and wonder, if I buy that, how am I going to pay for groceries next week? That kind of life has now left her, thanks to Christopher Proudfoot. He's basically given her her childhood dreams. She's out of poverty. She's got a man who's capable of making decisions and taking care of her. And she's got respect from people in the community, things that she never had growing up in the situation she grew up in with her biological family, and then later foster family at around 12, I think. That makes Christopher a really valuable commodity for Katie in her life. And I do think, don't get me wrong, I think she absolutely loves Sebastian. I think she does. But when you grow up and come out of a life like she had to survive, priorities are different. Just like the old crone said, you know, being poor, learning to lay low and be happy beneath the wind, poor people have it better. But if you're born into high places, if you're born into a situation where when the, you know, wind rages, you just bend and break, it's very difficult. So Christopher lifted her up out of that low place. And now she finds herself with the luxuries and the comforts that money can bring and status can bring. And now she's getting incredibly confused. And even though the marriage has survived longer than any of the other marriages of Christopher, probably because she was doing his every bidding, she was doing anything he wanted of her, because she had to maintain the only hope she had of living a life of comfort, safety, and luxury. But then Christopher, or Christopher's mom, got greedy. It wasn't enough that he had a great marriage with a beautiful woman that would do whatever it was that he wanted her to do. That wasn't enough. He wanted a new princess. And who is the new princess? Who is the new? Why was Katie discarded in February? Why was Katie and Sebastian cast aside in February? Because Christopher Proudfoot wanted custody of his daughter, Faith. She is the new princess in the story of Medea. So you imagine, if the story is true, if what they said is actually the facts, that Christopher Proudfoot had not been back at that house, that he had left sometime in January or February and had not been back at that house and had not seen them in weeks and weeks and weeks. Katie is laying there knowing they're never going to give Faith to Christopher as long as Sebastian is in this house. Never. And I think that that was the pressure that was put on Katie. I want a new princess. I want Faith to come and live with me. And the courts will never allow Faith to come live in my house as long as Sebastian is here. And therefore, you need to let Seth take Sebastian. You let Seth take Sebastian, and then we will have Faith, and you'll still be a mother. Imagine that. And so Katie gives in, but she doesn't want to give up her son. She feels like it is unfair. She's already given up so much for Christopher Proudfoot's whims and games. And now he's literally asking her, me or your son? Because I'm going to have Faith one way or another. You get rid of Sebastian, let Seth take Sebastian, so that the courts will let Faith come and live here. If that's what it's going to take for you to continue to be my wife and live in my $700,000 house. And she gave in. She was being acted upon by these political forces, by the desires, the greediness of Christopher Proudfoot, in exactly the same way that Medea is being acted upon by money and greed of men and politicians that are making laws that force Jason to abandon her and his sons and go in search of another woman that can secure his inheritance. Now, what ends up happening in this play, this Greek tragedy, is that Medea becomes hell-bent on vengeance. She has been discarded. She's living alone in her mansion with the two boys. Just like Katie found herself living alone in her $700,000 house with Sebastian, knowing that soon her son, when school was out, her son would be going to Seth, the original abuser, the original man that controlled her and made her make terrible choices that she was too young to make. And if the rumors are correct, maybe a man that stole some incredibly valuable things from her. He's the first controller. Who's the second controller? Christopher Proudfoot, because he's manipulating her. He's making her give up yet another child to a man she hates. And she's laying in her house with the confusion and the anger and the regret about the way that Seth made her live, with the new impending nightmare of turning her son Sebastian over to the one man on this planet that she does not want to have control of her child, also that she can maintain her status as Mrs. Proudfoot and maintain that upper middle class lifestyle of safety and luxury and comfort. And in the end, what's it going to look like, everybody? What is that scenario going to end up looking like? That Katie is the one who makes every loss is carried by Katie. She is the one that makes every single sacrifice. There is no sacrifice being made by Seth. Seth gets what he always wanted. Seth gets what he wanted 5 years ago and didn't get. Seth gets it. He ends up winning. Christopher Proudfoot gets what he wants. He ends up winning. He gets his new princess in the house, doesn't he? And who, in spite of being the one that makes every single sacrifice, which one of them ends up losing everything? It will be Katie. If Katie wants to secure her life, her comfort in that middle-class lifestyle, she must give up her son. She must allow Seth to win as a man. She must allow Christopher to win as a man. And she will be sitting there with no child, no voice. No one will care that she lost, she sacrificed, she was stolen from and mistreated by Seth and by Christopher both. Let's watch and see how this thing turns out.
Whoever withholds anything is thought sullen or proud, undemocratic, I think you call it. This is not always just, but we know that justice, at least on earth, is a name, not a fact. And as for me, I wish to avoid any appearance of being proud. Of what? Of affliction? I will show you my naked heart. You know that my Lord Jason has left me and made a second marriage with a bright-haired child of wealth and power. I, too, was a child of power, but not in this country, and I spent my power for love of Jason. I poured it out before him like water. I made him drink it like wine. I gave him success and fame. I saved him his precious life, not once, many times. You may have heard what I did for him. I betrayed my father for him. I killed my brother to save him. I made my own land to hate me forever. And I fled west with Jason in the Greek ship, under the thunder of sail, weeping and laughing.
Gosh, California is west, isn't it?
That huge journey through the Black Sea and the Bosporus, where the rocks clang together, and through the Sea of Marmara, and through the Hellespont, watched by the spearmen of wealthy Troy, and home to Greek water. His home. My exile.
Tennessee is Christopher's home.
Endless exile. And here I've loved him and borne him sons. And this man has left me and taken Creon's daughter to enjoy her fortune and put aside her soft yellow hair and kiss her young.
She is terrible. Stone with stone eyes.
She is pitiable. She is under great
I do not know what other women. I do not know how much a Greek woman will endure. The people of my race are somewhat rash and intemperate. As for me, I want simply to die. But Jason is not to smile at his bride over my grave. Nor that great man Creon hang wreaths and make a feast day in Corinth. Oh, let the wreaths be bright, blinding fire, and the songs a high wailing, and the wine blood.
Oh, sorrow beware. It is dangerous to dream of wine. It is worse to speak of wailing or blood. For the images the mind makes find a way out. They work into life.
Let them work into life.
There are evils that cannot be cured by evil. Patience remains. And the gods watch all.
Let them watch.
Now, to make a long story short, of course, if you want to go and finish watching this, you may, but it gets really difficult, like really difficult. But let's just kind of go through this. As you might guess, she acts out. She kills all of the people that she can kill that will harm Jason. She kills her sons because it's the ultimate act. There's if you go through the study of this particular mythology, there's some people have different ideas about why Medea killed her children. Like what was the reason for for the ultimate sacrifice of murdering her sons. Here is how it went. She planned to kill Jason, the bride of Jason, the king, different people. And as this was being plotted and planned, she was able to secure a promise in Athens that they would protect her there. That after she ended up killing the princess and whatnot, that she could go to Athens to live with safety. But it was not going to be possible to take the sons. Now, when she kills her sons, when she kills Jason's sons, it's the ultimate act of murder against Jason. That his procreation of his life going into the future ends. It's gone. She, because she is now without a burden to carry, she's now able to escape and run away to Athens, where now she can live and take care of herself and survive. But with the two sons with her, she didn't believe that she would ever make the trip and they would all perish. So in a quest for her own preservation, in an act of violence against the men that manipulated her and brought her to her knees and brought her to this dark, horrible place in her life, she sacrificed the sons, found her own freedom, and was able to escape and live out, her days, supposedly. Now, if you go back, there's this parallel that I see in this situation, right? And I think if we stop and we think about, again, this is 100% fictional. This is just this is just brainstorming. This is not, I don't have any way of knowing this is true. I'm simply looking at every single person. What would their potential motivations be in disappearing Sebastian? Who aims to gain the most? And I kept running into a brick wall with Katie, and I kept thinking, why would she do it other than just frustration, just acting out one night in a fit of rage, maybe? But even that didn't make sense to me. It seems too planned. There's literally not a clue left behind anywhere. And that's why when my mind kept going back to the story of Medea and the death of her son, or two sons, I kept seeing these weird parallels. And so this is how I envision this potential Greek tragedy playing out in Hendersonville, Tennessee. That Christopher Proudfoot makes this decision that he wants faith, right? And he goes to the trouble of even, the court battle and really, really trying to get Faith into the home, maybe full-time, full custody, but at the very least, part-time, 50% of the time, correct? But he knows, based on the history, the numbers of calls to CPS, the supposed calls to 911 that made Seth say, now I know what was happening in that house. Christopher knows that the courts are never going to allow Faith to come stay in that house if Sebastian is there. He knows that. And so he begins putting the pressure on Katie. We have to let Sebastian go live with Seth. We got to get Sebastian out of the house, give Seth what he has wanted from 5 years ago when you got your divorce. Or was it 6 years? 5 or 6 years. When you got your divorce, we're going to give Seth what he always wanted. He always wanted Sebastian. And Katie fought like hell to get Sebastian. Now, Christopher is saying, you got to give Sebastian to Seth so that I can get Faith into my house. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to part with Sebastian, we will not be able to be married. I am going to leave. I'm going to go stay in my camper. I'm gone from here until you make your decision. And so there is Katie by herself in the house, thinking about the betrayals, the manipulations, the sacrifices that were made for Seth, and the sacrifices that were made for Christopher. And she is in the middle, torn in two, with no one giving a damn what she wants. But self-preservation has kicked in. She wants to stay in her beautiful house. She wants to maintain contact with enough money to feel safe and comfortable. And she doesn't know what to do. And so little by little, she comes around to that idea, okay, I'll let Sebastian go to Seth. If that's what it's going to take for me to maintain my life as a Proudfoot, I'm going to let my child go. But Christopher's gone. He's not there at the house with them. He seems to not want to even be around Sebastian. So is he waiting for Sebastian to leave and go live with Seth? Is that why he's not there? And every single day, day after day, night after night, Katie is getting more angry and more frustrated by the unseen forces of men affecting her, taking the things away from her that matter, pregnancies and boys, little boys. The men are making the choices for her what to do with her body. And now yet again, Seth forced those decisions on her that she regrets. Now we've got Sebastian. He's being taken away by another man, Christopher. And she's powerless, but she's powerful inside. She knows what she wants. She knows that this is a violation. She's indignant about giving up her child, especially to a person that she actually won over, that she was able to keep Sebastian. As time is approaching for Sebastian, the end of the school year, for Sebastian to go and live with Seth, she's growing more angry and more resentful. More and more. She begins to recognize the only way she continues to be queen of the castle is by effectively, what? Just giving up Sebastian, just allowing Faith to move in so she becomes, the mother to Christopher's other child. Is that going to make her happy? No, she's angry. She's furious. She is pissed off that these two men are jerking her around for how long? 5, 6, 7 years? She's had enough. So what's the one solution, y'all? What's the one solution that Katie Proudfoot has of maintaining her position as queen of the castle, but she gets to stick it to both of the men that hurt her? She gets to stick it to Seth, and she gets to stick it to Christopher. What is it? What is it? If Sebastian goes missing, no judge will ever put Faith in that home. Not with the CPS reports, not with the history. That will not happen. If there is a missing child out of that house with those CPS reports, when they go to court to get Faith, Faith does not come to live. The judge makes the decision. Katie doesn't make the decision. The judge makes the decision and tells Christopher, I'm sorry, dude, I can't let the little girl come live there. I can't do that. And so, yeah, Katie is forced to give up her child, but she's being forced to give up her child anyway. But she denies Seth the win. In fact, she denies Seth the win on the anniversary of the divorce when he originally lost. And she denies Christopher the win because they will never let Faith come live in that house. Never. And she maintains the role as queen of the castle because, according to Christopher, she was doing the noble thing. She was letting her child go live with the biological father. She was doing exactly what Christopher told her to do. And poof, Sebastian just poofed into thin air. So in this version of Medea, everybody loses except Medea. She gets to continue to live in her home and have her clout and her position and live her upper middle class lifestyle. That's it. That's it. It's done. It's so morbid, Jackson. It's so dark and tragic. And yet, it really does explain a lot, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to repeat this again. I said it before over and over and over and over and over again. This is 100% fiction, fantasy, not real. It's the interpretation of real life tragedy through the lens of a Greek myth, tragedy. And, what's the lesson here? Is the lesson here that the cops may be looking in the wrong direction? Perhaps. But is the real lesson that Greek mythology really, really was quite masterful in describing the motivations and sinister plots of humans? As you go through Medea, Euripides Medea, the parallels in this story to what's happened with Sebastian Rogers is really chilling. Really, really chilling. So, all right. Well, that was depressing, wasn't it? What do y'all think about that? Hey, critters, how are you doing? Hey, Pam. No comment? Revenge, absolutely revenge. I don't know about that, Paul Boone, but I do think it's interesting. Yeah, CJ. The parallels are pretty interesting, and the motivations are really interesting. What are you suspicious of, Moonlight? Hey, Cattywampus. Hey, Critter. Suspicious of? I mean, I can't help. Here's a completely different point on this whole story. I am fascinated. I am absolutely amazed at how the tables have turned. Now, instead of Seth being a beloved that everybody supports and thinks is great, now he has been demonized, right? He is every bit as demonized now and hated as Christopher Proudfoot is. But who is the one who keeps rising above? Who is the one that no one will talk about suspecting? And it is kind of crazy because we're supposed to be this true crime community. Who was the last person to see Sebastian? Right? It was Katie. And yet no one can imagine a motivation that would result in this particular unusual set of circumstances. I'd love to hear both you and Dr. John Matthias from HTC on the same live stream. Great psychological analysis of human behavior. Thank you, Wendy. That was quite the compliment. I appreciate you. Thank you. Never give up your values and your destiny to another individual. 100%, Nancy. But because you're just going to grow just contempt, right? The resentment and contempt. If you're not getting your needs met on some level, it will eventually build up and backfire on you. Yeah. I think the Proudfoot were overwhelmed, and Christopher does seem to have a short fuse. Well, he does seem to have a short fuse, but listen, so I can't shake the fact, and AB is not going to like this because AB's all in on this whole story, but I cannot shake the fact that Seth legitimately looked shell-shocked when Sebastian went missing. He did look like he was completely, like he had no idea where his child was. Now he has changed, and with grief, we know that one of the stages of grief is anger, and so we are getting an awful lot of his anger right now. But I don't think that's unusual considering what he's been through. But I never got the feeling that Seth was responsible for Sebastian going missing. It just wasn't there. I'm unhappy with the decisions that he's making now. But back when all this happened 100 days ago, I never felt like he was involved. Christopher Proudfoot, he was fighting. He came out of the chute fighting and angry and yelling and going against people. But was he surprised that so many people thought that he did it? Was he acting out was he being protective, right? What if Christopher Proudfoot really and truly doesn't know what happened to Sebastian? They said that he passed his polygraph. So then we're all left with going, oh my God, if the two main men that are involved in Sebastian's life, if they didn't know about it, if they didn't have anything to do with it, then what in the hell happened? No one will question if Katie had it in her to make something happen. And yet we know that the last day that he was seen, she seemed to be doing, a Last Supper kind of thing. Cooking special pancakes when it was not a special occasion that we know of. Then taking him out to go be with all these people, 3 different locations the same day. So odd. So many people have said it was like a Last Supper. It was like a guy who's on death row, right? And it's the night of his execution, and he gets to order his favorite final meal, no matter what it is. It's like that's what happened with Sebastian. That he got to go out and have like the perfect day. And then he just poofed into thin air. So the implications are pretty sobering. But hopefully, the cops have considered this and looked at this angle, because you're looking for a completely different kind of evidence if this is the case, that Christopher really did not know anything and Seth really did not know anything, that Katie had to have done this on her own. She had plenty of time to do it. And she would have had to have had a compadre. She would have had to have had like a cohort, someone willing to step up and do the dirty work. For money, she's now got plenty of money at her fingertips. Maybe so. Her family of origin were some fairly shady people, a lot of penitentiary stuff. She may very well know somebody to pay to help her. It is a very, very, very interesting prospect. It was like Lori taking the kids to Yellowstone the day Tylee was killed. Wendy, I so agree with you. It is exactly the Yellowstone trip with Tylee and JJ. Exactly. You're so right. You're so right. And people high in psychopathy can absolutely pass a lie detector test, hands down across the board. Why? Because they don't spike emotions. We also know that child abuse, violent abuse, aggression, or whatever, we know that child abuse, it has been empirically related to increased levels of psychopathy in adulthood. I mean, this is so, we are so deep into wild speculation. We really are. And I know that I'm going to take an enormous amount of heat on this. I know that the virtue signalers are going to go, wow, I can't believe this is the worst of the worst, right? That's okay. Because the reality is, it's been 3 months, y'all. It's been 3 months with law enforcement doing everything that they can do to find something, and there is literally not one shred, tiny little piece of evidence anywhere that we know of. So why is this idea so atrocious? Because one thing that we are absolutely certain of, virtue signalers, there is one absolute reality. You want to know what that reality is? Here it is. Sebastian Rogers did not walk out of that front door that night. He did not. The reason I know that is because they did not find his body. That's how I know that. It was freezing the night he left. His mother, Katie, says specifically that he left with no shoes, but a flashlight is missing. Why, Katie? Did you need the flashlight to go meet someone? You guys, you virtue signaling, you can sit around and you can make yourself believe that an alien spaceship said, beam me up, Scotty, and Sebastian was, turned into cellular molecules and went up through a beam of light into the Enterprise to be whisked off into the universe with Captain Spock. You can believe that shit if you want to, but it's not real. And what was it that Seth said the cops told him? We have no evidence that Sebastian left that house. There is, in fact, a camera across the street pointing exactly right at the front door of the Proudfoot's home. There's only one way that Sebastian Rogers left that house, and that is through the garage and into somebody's crossover, Suburban, whatever they're driving. That is the only way out of that house. But you know what I think? I don't think he ever went back to that house. After they finished with the Last Supper and the fun parties and the perfect day for a kid, that I think is when the dirty deed happened. I think there was a handoff made away from the home. And there is quite a bit. Here's another thing. There's quite a bit of symbology and a lot of tools that are built into the story of Medea, where it was critical for Medea. If you finish watching this play, you'll hear about this. But that it was really important and critical to Medea that the murders, that the deaths of these people occur outside of the home, away from her home. And there's symbology there. I don't want to go into the whole Greek mythology thing, but anyway, it is a focus that's been written about in this story of Euripides Medea, that the murders occurring away from the home, the womb, essentially the symbolic womb, that the murders happening away from it was quite symbolic as a lash at Jason. There's so much leading up to this particular story by way of the politics and the changes at the time that were happening that was affecting men's wealth, the position of women and the choices that they were being made because of these new laws regarding inheritance and wealth and whatnot. And that's such a big foundation for the lead up to this story, so that you can understand the motivation for why it was that Jason discarded her and abandoned her. That it was about money. It's a pretty humbling thought. And with the parallels with the Navy and the if you get into reading about it, there is a lot of like military strategy that was represented in the story. It is entirely possible that somewhere, somehow along the way, that Katie would have run into this story. I mean, you can imagine being on a ship for 6 months at a time. You can imagine there's a lot of books being read. And so maybe this wasn't an accidental parallel, but maybe the story of Medea spoke to Katie. Maybe she's reading this back when she was still in Navy. She's reading it and she's thinking about it. And she's like, hell yeah, this is not fair. Women don't get any choice. Women are manipulated and thrown about for the machinations and wealth of men. It's pretty shocking. It's pretty shocking. Considering Katie's past, Katie's doing what she's been conditioned to do. Well, I mean, again, this is brainstorming. This is a search for meaning, a search for structure regarding the disappearance of Sebastian Roger that makes absolutely no sense. Just doesn't make sense, y'all. I think it's crazy. The story is crazy. The anger about the dogs in the neighborhood. Christopher saying, yeah, the dogs tracked to the pond. But the cops are saying, no, the dogs didn't track to the pond. No, the Holden Pond. No, the dogs didn't track. It makes no sense. What they're saying makes no sense. But the idea that Sebastian turns into a missing person and that blocks Faith from being moved into Katie's house, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. She denies Christopher what he's made her sacrifice to get. It denies Seth and what he has forced her to sacrifice. And in the end, she gets a little bit of vengeance. She gets a little bit of retribution for the fact that men kept making her do things that she didn't want to do, that broke her heart. Absolutely, Ginger Girl. You are 100% correct. Yep. Hey, mi vida loca. Bravo, I wished you could have been my English professor. Aren't you sweet? Thank you so much. Let's see. Do we have proof that he actually arrived back in the home after the day of the adventure? Well, what they claim is the proof, Honey K, is that Sebastian took the trash out at a certain time, right? And Seth said that you can see a figure taking the trash out, but there is no way to be able to tell who that is. You can't tell if it is Sebastian. And I have heard that Melissa, Christopher Proudfoot's sister, that she is a very small, petite woman. So maybe she did it. Or maybe somebody is not even in the story. Somebody that Katie knows from her family of origin. Maybe that, you don't know. We don't know. We don't know. But I'm just saying that's what the cops say. All right, so we got a lot of people in here. I'm going to tell y'all this, okay? I get it. I'm with you. It's uncomfortable. This was an act of courage. I can promise you that. There will be people that will consider this possibility. There will be people that will be very outraged, and I respect all of that. And I get it. Everybody is entitled to opinion. But I do think after 100 days, and absolutely no movement. I mean, we're going right back through Summer Wells crap again. It's incredible. It's time to consider other possibilities than just Christopher did it or Seth did it. There's other possibilities, y'all. Like it or not, there are other possibilities. All right. Do you guys want to continue watching the play? Or do you want to just end the live? I'm gonna go by what you guys say. Do you want to watch the end of this? I mean, it is very dramatic. It's actually quite good. But a lot of people don't like classical art. So I'm not sure. Do y'all want to watch it or no? I mean, it's kind of a good thing to do on Saturday night, the early part of Saturday night, right? You might be surprised, but to see the parallels with Christopher and Seth and Katie in the middle being drawn in two directions. CJAG says, let's watch it. I have considered this theory minus the play. Hey, Rhonda Grace, good to see you. Chaz says, finish it. Good. Yeah, I'm good with it. We can watch it. I love it. I think it's wonderful. All right. Are y'all ready? If you want to watch the play, put a 1. If you're going to just say goodbye, I hope you'll at least hit the thumbs up before you go out so that other people can find the video. I would really appreciate that. I don't mind watching, but I like the commentary. I always get more out of classics when discussing them rather than just reading them. Okay, so we got some people who want to watch. Yeah. Hey, Pam Frenchman. Thrifting in the bluegrass. I love it. Yeah, that's where they have that long like garage sale, right? It's very cool. All right. Yeah, let's watch it. I'm good. Again, if you're leaving, will you please hit the thumbs up as you on your way out? I would really appreciate that. All right. Y'all have a good Saturday night. I hope y'all have like tons of fun. Stand alive, stand alive. Stand alive. All right, here we go. We're going to finish watching the Euripides Medea.
My enemies go down in blood.
Dear, beware. Some great person is coming. It is Creon himself.
Creon is coming.
It's dark with anger. Oh, my lady, my child, bend in this wind and not be broken.
They're saying, please relax. Medea.
You have admirers, I see. Medea, woman of the stone forehead and hate-filled eyes, I've made my decision. I've decided that you must leave this land at once and go into banishment, you with your children. I intend to remove a root of disturbance out of the soil of Corinth. I'm here to see to it I will not return home until it is done.
Banishment?
Exile, banishment. Go you may, Medea, but here you abide no more.
I with my children?
Now, if Katie refuses to give Sebastian to Seth, then Christopher's going to divorce her and make her leave the house. I think that was the pressure that he was putting on her to make her agree to give Sebastian up so that Faith could come live in the house with them. So this banishment, again, another parallel.
I will not take them away from you.
Because we have suffered evil, we are to suffer more evil. Death was my wish.
Huh? Words. You'll not be hindered. You can have death while there are ropes to hang by or waves to drown in. Only make haste and leave this land.
My children, my lord, my children.
What are you muttering?
Nothing. I'm praying to my gods for wisdom, and you for mercy. You know, my lord, what exile means. To beg a bread crust and be derided, pelted with stones in the villages. The children, my lord, are Jason's children, your chosen friend, I believe, and now even closer bound. And as for me, your servant, oh, master of Corinth, what have I done? Why must I be cast?
I will tell you frankly. Because you nourish rancorous ill will towards persons whom I intend to protect. I send you out before you've time to do harm here. And you are notorious for occult knowledge, sorcery, poisons, magic. Men say you can even sing down the moon from heaven. As to that, I know not. I know you are dangerous. You threaten my daughter. You have to go.
But I wish her well, my lord. I wish her all happiness. I hope that Jason may be as kind to her as to me.
That is your
No,
wish.
I misspoke. I thought of old days.
I acknowledge, Medea. You have some cause for grief. I all the more must guard against your dark wisdom and bitter heart.
You misjudge me cruelly. It is true I have some knowledge of drugs and medicines. If any person knows a little more than the common man, the people suspect him. But you are not a common man, Lord of Corinth. You will not fear knowledge.
No. Nor change my decision. I pity you, Medea, but you must go.
You pity me? You pity me? I will endure a dog's pity or a water-wrung toad's. May God who hears me, we shall see in the uncles be pitied.
This is good. This is what I desire. Unmask the livid face of your hatred, and I see whom I deal with, serpent and wolf. A wolf from Asia. I'd rather have you rage now than do harm later. Now, Medea, out of here, before my men drive you out.
A woman driven half mad with sorrow, laboring to save her little children, no wolf, my lord. The races of Asia are human, too, as the bright Greeks are. And we have children and love them as Greeks do. You have a daughter, sir. She's beautiful. If I were near her, I would soon.
Thank you, my vida loca. You have a good evening.
You can speak sweetly enough. You can make honey in your mouth like a brown bee when it serves your turn.
Not honey. The truth.
Trust you or not, you are going out of this country, Medea. Make ready quickly. I have a guest in my house. I should return to him.
What guest?
Oh, my lady, ask him who is the guest. If powerful and friendly, he might be a refuge to us in bitter exile.
I know that your will is granite, but even on the harsh face of a granite mountain, some flowers of mercy may grow in season. Have mercy on my little sons, Creon, though there is none for me.
How long, woman? This is decided, done, finished.
I am not a beggar. I will not trouble you. I shall not live long. Sire, grant me a few hours yet. One day to prepare in one little day.
One day to prepare, one day to get
What?
for vengeance.
No. I told you the day is today, Medea, this day. And the hour is now.
There are no flowers on this mountain. Not one violet, not one anemone. face, my lord, is like flint. If I could find the right words, if some god would lend me a touch of eloquence, I'd show you my heart. I'd lift it out of my breast and turn it over in my hands. You'd see how pure it is of any harm or malice toward you or your household. I beseech you, Creole, by the soft yellow hair and the smooth, cool forehead and the white knees of that young girl who is now Jason's bride, lend me this inch of time. One day, half a day, for this one is now half gone, and I will go my sad course and vanish in the morning quietly as dew that drops on the stones at dawn and as dry at sunrise. You will never again be troubled by any word or act of mine. And this I pray you, for your dear child's sake. Oh, Creon, what is half a day in all the rich years of Corinth?
I'm no tyrant. I have been merciful to my own hurt many times. Oh, even to myself, I seem foolish if I grant you this thing. No, Medea, I will not grant it.
Don't do it. Don't give her a day. You're gonna rue the day.
Does a viper.
She's a viper. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Of one day. A ruler ought to be ruthless, but I'm not. I'm a fool in my own eyes, whatever the world may think. Take it then. Make your preparations. But if tomorrow's sun shines on you here, Medea, you die. Enough words, thank me not. I want my hands washed of this business.
I will thank you, and the whole world will hear of it.
I have seen this man's arrogance. I watched and heard him. I am of Corinth, and I say that Corinth is not well ruled.
The city where even a woman, even a foreigner, suffers unjustly the rods of power is not well ruled.
Unhappy Medea, what haven, what sanctuary? Where will you wander?
This man, this barking dog, this gulled fool, gods of my father's country, you saw me low on my knees before that great dog of Corinth, humbled, holding my heart in my hands for a dog to bite. Break this dog's teeth!
Woo! I'm telling you, you men, y'all better treat your women right.
Women, it is a bitter thing to be a woman. A woman is weak for warfare. She must use cunning. Men boast their battles. I tell you this, and we know it. It is easier to stand in battle 3 times in the front line in the stabbing fury than to bear one child. And a woman, they say, can do no good, but in childbirth it may be so. She can do evil. She can do evil. I wept before that tall dog. I wept my tears before him. I degraded my knees to him. I gulled and flattered him, oh, triple fool. He's given me all that I needed, a little time, a space of time. Death is dearer to me than what I am now.
I bet you
And
can't.
if today, by sunset, the world has not turned, and turned sharp, too, then let your dog Creon send 2 or 3 slaves to kill me, and a cord to strangle me. I will stretch out my throat to it. But I have a bitter hope, women. I begin to see light through the dark wood, between the monstrous trunks of the trees at the end of the tangled forest, and I hope a pinpoint of light. I shall not die, perhaps, as a pigeon dies. nor like the innocent lamb that feels the hand on its head and looks up from the knife to the man's face and dies. No, like some yellow-eyed beast that has killed its hunters, let me lie down on the hounds' bodies and the broken spears. Now to strike them. What means to use? There are so many doors through which painful death may glide in and catch. Which one? Which one?
I mean, imagine if you're Katie and you've been given an ultimatum by Christopher. He's moved, he's gone to live in the camper, giving you space as you try to decide whether you're going to save your son, keep your son, or you're going to give him away just so you can remain living in your house. Imagine if you're laying there and you're heartbroken, getting angrier and angrier by the day, the unfairness of the ultimatum and the manipulation. Imagine.
Tell me, do you know what guest is in Creon's house?
An Athenian ship came from the north last night. It is Aegis, the lord of Athens.
Aegis? My lady knows him. I believe he will help us. Some god has brought him here, some savior god.
He is leaving, I think, today.
My lady, Lord Aegis is here in Corinth, Creon's guest. If you will see him and speak him fairly, we have a refuge.
Many things in my hand to do, be quiet.
Oh, listen to me. You're driven out of Corinth. You must find shelter. Aegis of Athens is here.
Listen to me!
I held you in my arms when you were this long. I gave you milk from these breasts that are now dead leaves. I saw the little beautiful body straighten and grow tall. Oh, child, how can I not try to save you? Life is better than death.
Not now.
Time's running out.
I have time. Oh, I have time. It would be good to sit here 1,000 years and think of nothing but the deaths of 3 persons.
Oh, there's no hope then. Child, if you would do this red thing you dream of, all Corinth would pour against
After
you.
my enemies are punished.
Because so she's bitter and angry. She's been discarded, thrown out, has no money, no way of taking care of her son. And now the king has come and said, you have to leave this house, you have to leave this land, you have to leave this country. And she recognizes there is nowhere for her to go. There's nowhere for her to go. And so instead of trying to consider the impossible, finding shelter in a safe place, she's resolved that one way or the other, her life is over. She's going to die, whether she abandons the house and does what she's told. She's going to die if she kills Jason, the man that violated her. And so she begins to think about revenge and murder. And at least that feels like she's standing in strength, not falling to her knees in weakness and becoming a victim.
And I've heard the last broken moan, Corinth. What's that? I'll sleep. I'll sleep well. I'm alone against all, and so weary that it is pitiful.
Look who is coming. I see sunlight glitter on Lanshill.
It's Jason. Jason, Medea's worst enemy, who should have been her dearest protector.
Jason, you snake.
What business have you here, you women, clustered like buzzing bees around the hive door? Where's Medea?
There. Mourning for what you have done.
What she has done, not I. Not by my will, she and my sons are exiled.
Is there another dog here?
So, Medea, you have once more affronted and insulted the head of Corinth. This is not the first time I've seen what a fool anger is.
You might have lived here happily, secure and honored. I hoped you would. By being just a little decently respectful toward those in power. Instead, you had to go mad with anger and talk yourself into exile. To me, it matters little what you say about me, but rulers are sensitive. Call yourself lucky, Medea, not to get worse than exile. In spite of all this, I have your interest at heart and am here to help you. Exile's a bitter business. I want to make some provision for you. I wish you no harm, although you hate me. And in particular, the children. My sons. Our sons. You might have been decent enough to have thought of our sons.
Did you consider them when you betrayed this house?
Certainly I considered them. It was my hope that they would grow up here. And I, having married power, could protect and favor them. And if perhaps after many years I become Dynast of Corinth, for that is Creon's desire to make me his heir, our sons would have been a king's sons. I hope to help them wherever they go, but now, of course, must look forward to younger children.
Something might happen. It is likely that something might happen to the bride in the marriage.
I'll guard against it. But evidently, Creon is right to be rid of you.
Go to the palace and seek for Aegis. There's no other hope.
Have you finished now?
I thought I would let you speak on and spread out your shamelessness before these women, the way a Tyrian trader unrolls his rare fabrics.
You like it, ladies? It is the dog's daughter's husband. It is a brave person. It has finally got up its courage with a guard of spears to come and look me in the face.
Oh, Jason. How have you pulled me down to this hell of vile thoughts? I did not used to talk like a common woman. I loved you once. And I'm ashamed of it. But there are some things that ought to be remembered by you and me. That blue day when we drove through the Hellespont into Greek Sea. And the great shouldered heroes were singing at the oars. And those birds flying through the blown foam. That day was too fine, I suppose, for Creon's daughter's man to remember. But you might remember whether I cheated my father for you and tamed the fire-breathing, brazen-hoofed bulls, and whether I saved your life in the Field of the Teeth. And you might remember whether I poisoned the great serpent and got you the golden fleece and fled with you and killed my brother when he pursued us, making myself abominable in my own home. And then in yours, I got your enemy, Peleus, hacked to death by his own daughter's hands. Whatever these fine Corinthian friends of yours may say against my rapid and tricky wisdom, you were just served. You were just served well. Here are 5 times, if I've counted right and all's not counted, when your adventures would have been dusty death if I'd not saved you. But now, you think your adventures are over. You are safe and high-placed in Corinth, and will need me no more.
Tis a bit of a dog, isn't it, women? It's well qualified to sleep with a dog's daughter.
But for me, Jason, me, driven by the hairy snouts from the quadruped marriage bed, what refuge does your prudent kindness advise? The world is a little closed to me, huh? By the things I have done for you.
I see, Medea. You have been a very careful merchant of benefits. You forget none. You keep a strict reckoning. But some little things that I, on my side, have done for you ought to be in the books, too. For example, I carried you out of the dirt and superstition of Asiatic Colchis into the rational sunlight of Greece and the marble music of the Greek temples. Is that no benefit? I have brought you to meet the first minds of our time, and to speak as an equal with the great heroes and rulers of cities. Is that no benefit? Here you are famous. Who would have spoken your name had your days run by on that last edge of the world? That life of blood and filth I saved you from, so that one day you may vent on me this vileness, this barbarian gratitude. And now, this grievous thing that you hate me for, that I married Creon's young daughter, little Creusa. Do you think I did it like a boy? Or a woman out of blind passion? No, I did it to achieve power here. And I'd have used that power to protect you and our sons. But no, your jealous madness has muddled everything. And finally, as to those acts of service you so loudly boast, whom do I thank for them? I thank divine Venus, the goddess who makes girls fall in love. You did them because you had to do them. Venus compelled you. I enjoyed her favor. A man dares things, you know. He makes his adventure in the cold eye of death. And if the gods care for him, they appoint an instrument to save him. If not, he dies. You were that instrument.
Yes, she doth need a better Broderick. Absolute.
Slime and the loathing, the muddy bottom of a mouthed cup. When a scoundrel begins to invoke the gods. Oh, you had better go, Jason. Vulgarity is a contagious disease, and in a moment, what could I do but spit at you like a peasant or curse you like a drunken slave?
Jason, you are messing with the devil, buddy. This is a bad decision, Jason.
Take yourself back to little Creusa.
Medea, I came to help you and save you if possible.
Your help is not wanted. Go. Go.
You know, I think Funky DeSunky left because he got scared.
I want to see my boys.
Go quickly.
Yours the regret, then.
This is it. I did not surely know it. Loathing is all. This flesh he has touched and fouled. These hands that wrought for him, these knees that ran his errands, this body that took his, what they called love and made children of it. If I could peel off the flesh, the children, the memory.
What is she doing, that woman? Staring like stone. Staring. Oh, she has moved now.
Annihilation.
Annihilation.
Words, pure music. Annihilation. To annihilate the past is not possible. But its fruits in the present can be nipped off. I might look in my son's eyes and see Jason's forever. Better to be clean bones on the shore, white bones on the black seashore. Oh, but that's far.
So she's saying she doesn't want to look into her son's eyes and see Jason's eyes looking back at her.
Not yet. Corinth must howl first.
Peace and pity are departed. Hatred is here. Hatred is heavy, it clings to the earth. Love blows away. Hatred remains.
Women hate war.
But men will wage it again. Women may hate their husbands and sons their fathers, but women will never hate their own children. But as for me, I will do good to my husband. I will love my sons and daughters and adore the gods.
I should go into the house with a sharp knife to the man and his bride. Or if I could fire the room they sleep in and hear them wake in the white of the fire and howl to each other and howl like dogs and howl and die. But I might fail. I might be cut down first. A knife might turn in my hand or the fire not burn and my enemies could laugh at me. No. I have subtler means and more deadly cruel. I have my dark art that fools call witchcraft.
Listen to
Not for
this.
nothing have I worshipped the wild grey goddess that walks in the dark, the wise one, the terrible one, the sweet huntress, flower of the night, Hecate, in my house, at my hearth.
Lady, he was leaving Priam's door. He is coming. Aegis is coming. The power of Athens.
I will not see him. Go back and tell him so.
Ancient goddess, to whom I and my people make the sacrifice of black lambs and black female hounds, Holy One, haunter of crossroads, Queen of night, Hecate, help me now to remember in my mind the use of the venomous fire, a magic song, and a sharp gem.
Remember, she's a sorceress. The people of her land know drugs and medications. And so, the concoction will be to put someone to sleep.
He is here, my lady. Athens is here.
I
Rejoice, Medea.
There's
no fairer greeting from
I
friend to
got
friend.
married to Medea next door.
Medea, hail and rejoice.
Rejoice. It may be so. Maybe I shall rejoice before the sun sets.
Medea, what's happened to you?
Nothing. Nothing. I'm quite well. Fools trouble me. Where are you traveling from, Aegis?
From Delphi, where I went to consult the ancient oracle of Apollo.
Oh, Delphi. Did you get a good answer?
An obscure one. Some god or other has made me unable to beget a child. That is my trouble. But the oracle never gives plain responses.
They're talking about the Oracle of Delphi.
I tell you these things so that you might help me with the gods' meeting.
What did Apollo say to you?
That I must not unloose the hanging foot of the wineskin until I return to the hearth of my fathers.
The hanging foot of the wineskin. You've never had a child?
No. And it is bitterness.
But when misfortune comes, it is bitter to have children and watch their star-like faces grow dim to endure it.
When death comes, Medea, it is for a childless man, utter despair, darkness, extinction. One's children are the life after death.
Do you feel it so? Do you feel it so? Then, if you had a dog-eyed enemy and needed absolute vengeance, you'd kill the man's children first. Unchild him, and then unlife him.
I do not care to think of such horrors. I have no complete enemy. What is it, Medea? What's the matter?
My love.
Oh, don't hurt my children. Their father hurts them.
What do you mean, Jason? What has Jason done?
He has cast me off and married Creon's young daughter, and Creon this very day is driving us into black exile.
Do you mean you're driven out into exile?
Into homeless exile.
Why that?
Because our presence here is embarrassing to the young bride. Do you not think such men ought to be punished, Aegis?
Where will you go?
If there is any rightness on earth or in heaven, they will be punished.
Where will you go to, Medea?
What? To death, of course.
She's all bewildered, sir, in the deep storm and ocean of grief. Or she would ask of you refuge in Athens.
Ah, so I should. Aegis, will you shelter me in Athens?
If you by your own means come to Athens, I will take care of you.
I could repay you for it. I know the remedies that make a dry stick flame into flower and fruit.
You'd cure my sterility.
I could do so. But I have certain enemies. If powerful enemies came baying for my blood, would you protect me?
Come the four ends of the world, they will not break in. You're safe there. I am your pledge.
Will you swear it, Aegis?
What? I promised.
I trust you. The oath is formal. Your cure depends on it. You swear by the fruitful earth and high-shining heaven to protect me in Athens against all men.
I swear.
If you should break it, the earth will give you no bread but death, and the sky no light but darkness.
I will not break it.
You must repeat the words, Aegis.
If I break it, the earth will give me no bread but death, and the sky no light but darkness.
You have sworn. The gods have heard you.
When will you come to Athens?
To Athens? Why, if I come, if I live, it will be soon. The yokes on the necks of the horses. I have some things to do that men will talk of afterwards in hushed voices, while I and my children, safe in Athens, laugh. Is that it? Farewell, Aegis.
May the gods comfort you, Medea. Farewell, ladies of Corinth.
Fair be the gale behind you, sir, and the way ahead. What is she plotting in her deep mind? She is juggling with death and life like a juggler with a black ball and a white ball.
Oh God, protector of exiles, Lord of the holy skies, lead us to the high rock that Athena loves and the olive garland of Athens.
Athens is beautiful, as a lamp on a rock. The people of Athens, favored through the ages, walk with grace through the sparkling air, their souls nourished by knowledge and wisdom. How can such a people offer shelter to a woman so filled with hatred and murder?
How can one wish to die? How can that woman be drowned in sorrow and bewildered with hatred? For only to be alive and to see the light is beauty.
Hush.
As you say, what a marvelous privilege it is merely to be alive. And how foolish it would be to spend the one day of life that remains to me, at least in Corinth, this tag end of one day on tears and hatred. Rather, I should rejoice and sing and give gifts. They say gold will buy anything, even friendship, even love. At least in Greece, among you civilized people, you reasonable and civilized Hellenes, I still have 2 or 3 of the treasures that I brought from home. Things of pure, precious gold, which a god gave to the kings, my ancestors. Is it late? It seems to me that the light darkens as if evening. No, a cloud. I hope for thunder. Let the sky rage, my gifts will shine the brighter. Listen, old woman. I want you to go to Jason and tell him I am sick of hating and weary of evil. I wish for peace. I wish to send precious gifts to that pale girl with the yellow hair whom he has married. Tell him to come and take them and to kiss his boys before we go into exile. Tell him to come speedily. Now go. Go and find him.
Oh, what an evil web we weave. The plot centers on the actions of Medea, a former princess of the kingdoms occultist and the wife of Jason. She finds her position in the Greek world threatened as Jason leaves her. Oh no, she's been cast out, Justice Dane. She's been told to get the hell out of their house, get out of the country, take their boys with them. She has nothing left.
I'm terrified.
As you should be, old crone.
Pray to the gods, women, to keep evil birds from our hearts.
Keep Barry behind bars and not out, where the evil birds prey upon thee. Princess of Corinth, Medea, takes vengeance upon Jason by murdering his wife and her son, after which it takes to Athens, start a new life, unburdened. All right, I think that's the end. No, actually, Act 2 is here. Are y'all bored yet? I don't get bored. I love this kind of thing because I'm nerdy and weird. Actually, this kind of dovetails into last night's discussion about infidelity, how it can bring on lots of devastating consequences. I mean, in a very strange way, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Do y'all want to watch it, or do you want to like watch it on your own time? I'll let y'all choose. I mean, I'll probably end up watching it anyway by myself if y'all don't want to watch it. What do y'all think about the parallels to the disappearance of Sebastian? I mean, women, you know, that feel like their home, their livelihood, their husbands, their futures, their pasts are all being taken from them. Very often they'll act out in anger. Yep. Tommy says, yeah, we can watch. Rhonda says, yeah. All right. I'm good. Because like I said, I love this kind of weird, you know, I'm nerdy, old school stuff. I love the drama. Oh, why have you
These are the
forsaken
gifts I
me?
am sending to the young bride. God of the sun gave them to my father's father, and I have kept them in the deep
Very
chest
good,
for some
Life.
high occasion, which has now come.
So she's giving
joy in giving these jewels to Creon's daughter.
So it's a little confusing here, okay? So just let me say. So she's sending gifts to Jason's new wife, the princess of Creon. She's sending the gold robe and a gold crown, correct? But remember, she's a sorceress. She knows magic. She knows medications and plants and flowers that are pharmaceuticals and can make, you know, kill people or make them go to sleep or whatever. And so she has actually poisoned the robe and the crown.
For the glory of life consists in being generous to one's friends and merciless to one's enemies. You know what a friend she's been to me. All Corinth knows.
Thank you, Live.
Talk of it. The old stones in the walls have watched and laughed. See? It is almost alive. Gold is a living thing, such pure gold. But when her body has warmed it, how it will shine. It is intolerable to sit and wait. You sure he's coming? You sure?
He said he would.
Let him make haste.
Frightening, irrational things have happened lately. The face of nature is flawed with omens.
Yesterday evening, a slave came up to the harbor gate carrying a basket of new-caught fish. One of the fish took fire and burnt in the wet basket with a high flame. The thing was witnessed by many persons.
And a black leopard was seen gliding through the marketplace.
You haven't told me yet. Do you not think Creon's daughter will be glad of those gifts?
Oh, Medea, too much wealth is sometimes dreadful.
She'll be glad, however. She'll take them, she'll put them on, she'll wear them, she'll strut in them, she'll peacock in them. see him coming now. The whole Alice will admire. Stand aside from me, women, while I make my sick peace.
Well, I've come. I tell you plainly, not for your sake. The children. Your woman tells me you have your wits again and are willing to look beyond your own woes. It appears doubtful. Where are the boys? I've made inquiries. I can find fosterage for them in Epidaurus or any other of several cities that are Creon's friends. I'll visit them from time to time and see that they're well kept.
You mean take them from me? Be careful, Jason. I am not patient yet.
He wants to take her sons and give them to someone else to take care of while she is cast out from her home into an unknown land. Can you make this up?
I am the one who labored in pain to bear them. I cannot smile while I lose them. But I'm learning. I am learning. No, Jason, I will not give up my little ones to the cold care of strangers. It would be far better for them to share my wandering ocean of beggary and bleak exile. They'll still be loved. And when the sky rages, I'll hold them warm against my heart. I love them, Jason. Only if you would keep them and care for them here in Corinth, I might consent.
Gladly, but they are exiled.
In your own house.
Gladly I do it, but you understand they are exiled as you are.
Innocent from my rebellion, that's black. Forgive me, Jason. As I do you. We've had too much wrath. And our acts are closing on us. On me, I mean. Retribution is from the gods, and it breaks our hearts. But you feel no guilt. You fear nothing. Nothing can touch you. It is wonderful to stand serene above the fates while earthlings wince. If it lasts, it does not always last. Do you love them, Jason?
Certainly. The children? Certainly, I am their father.
If anything happened to them, would you be grieved?
Nothing will happen to them, Medea, while in my care. Rest your mind on
You
it.
must pardon me. It is not always possible to be certain of that. If they were killed, and their blood ran on the floor of the house or down the deep earth, would you be grieved?
You have a sick mind. What a weak thing a woman is, always dreaming of evil.
Answer me!
Yes! After I'd cut their killer into red collops, I'd be grieved.
That is true. Vengeance makes grief bearable. And knowing that Creon's daughter, your wife, will no doubt breed many other boys. But if something should happen to Creon's daughter...
Enough, Medea, too much! Be silent!
I am to conclude that you love Creon's daughter more than your sons. They'll have to take the sad journey with me. Tell the boys to come out and bid their father farewell.
I could take them from you by force, Medea.
Oh, come, Jason. Let's be friends at last. I know you love them. If they could stay here in Corinth, I'd be content.
I asked it, he refused it.
You asked him to take my children from me. I'm quite patient now. I've learned. Oh, come, boys, come. Speak to your father. Oh, no. No. We're friends again. We're not angry anymore.
Big boys. Tall fellows. Why, you've grown up since I saw you.
Smile for him, children. Give him your hands.
I think he's afraid of your helmet, sir.
My sons. No, my sons. Oh, we'll teach you to fear helmets. The enemy will run from yours when you grow up to size. I think in time you'll both be leaders of Corinth. You, my captain.
Don't give them to him, Medea. If you do, it will ache forever.
You have refuge. Take him there. Athens is beautiful.
Silent. Look at him. He loves them, huh? Therefore, his dear children are not going to that city, but to a darker city where no games are played, no music is heard. Watch and see. Watch this man, women. He is going to weep. I think he's going to weep blood, and quite soon, and much more than I have wept. Watch and keep silence. Jason, are the boys very dear to you? I think I'm satisfied that you love them.
Two great heroes.
Medea, what is it?
What's the matter?
Nothing. It is hard to let them go. This I have thought of. You will take them to Creon's daughter, your wife, and make them kneel to her and ask her to ask her father to let them stay here in Corinth. And I'll put gifts in their hands. People say that gifts will persuade even the gods. Is it well thought of? Will she listen to us?
Oh, yes, if I ask it. She'd deny me nothing. I think you're right. She can rule Creon.
Bring me those gold things. Dear ones. Brave little falcons, little pawns of my agony. Go ask that proud, breastless girl of her bitter charity whether she will let you nest here until your wings fledge, while far your mother flies the dark storm.
I'm sorry for you, Medea. Parting is hard.
I can bear it. And worse, too. Don't touch the gold. It might tarnish.
Why, these are a king's treasures. You shouldn't, Medea. It's too much. Creon's house has gold enough of its own.
Oh, if she'll wear them, what should I want with woven golden vanities? Black is my wear. The woman ought to be very happy with such jewels and such a husband. Her sun is rising, mine going down. I hope to a red sunset. Gold is too heavy a burden for little hands. Carry them you until you come to the palace. Brave little trudging pilgrims from the black wave to the white desert. Take the stuff in. Be sure you lay it in her own hands. Come back and tell me what happens. Tell me what happens. Rejoice, women.
Me too,
The
Diane.
gifts are given, the bait is laid. The gods roll their great eyes over Creon's house and quietly smile. For no rat nor coney would creep into the open, undisguised traps that take the proud race of man. That robe of bright flowing gold, that bride veil, that fish nets to catch young slender salmon. Not mute, she'll sing. Her delicate body writhes in the meshes. The golden wreath binds her bright head with light. She'll dance. shall sing loudly. Oh, would I were there to hear it, that proud one howling. Oh, look. The sun's out again. Clouds have gone. All's gay and clear. I wish the deep earth would open and swallow us before I do what comes next. I wish all life would perish and the holy gods in high heaven die before my little ones come home to my hands.
It would be better for you, Medea, if the earth did open her jaws and take you down into darkness. But one thing you will not do, for you cannot. You will not hurt your own children. No blood-lapping beast of the field, she-bear, nor lioness, nor the lean wolf bitch hurts her own tender whelps.
How could that girl's death slake me?
I am sick with terror. I'll run to the palace. I'll warn them.
Will you? Go. Go if you will. God and my vengeful goddess are doing these things. You cannot prevent them, but you could easily fall into the same fire.
I am afraid to go.
You are wise. Anyone running between me and my justice will reap what no man wants.
Not justice, vengeance. You have suffered evil. You wish to inflict evil.
I do according to nature what I have to do.
I dreamed that someone gave good for evil, and the world was amazed.
A coward or a madman gives good for evil. Did you hear that music? Like a girl screaming. Or did I perhaps imagine it? Hark! It is music.
Let me go, Medea. I'll be mute. I'll speak to no one. I cannot bear. Let me go to my house.
You will stay here and watch till the end. You will be quiet, woman. You came to see how the barbarian woman endures betrayal. Watch, and you will know.
Let us see to blood. 100-fold the harvest. The cleaners that followed their feet are crumbs.
The demon comes through the locked door and strangles the child. You see the whirlwind hanging from the black sky like a twisted rope, like an erect serpent. Its tail tears the earth. It is braided of dust and lightning. Who will fly in it? Let me hide myself from these night-shoring pillars and the dark door.
Be quiet. I'm quite sure something has happened. Presently, someone will bring us news. Look, the children are coming.
They have bright things in their hands. Their faces are clear and joyous. Was all that fear a dream? A dream?
Rejoice, Medea! I bring good news. The princess graciously received your present and smiled. It is peace between you. She has welcomed the little boys. They are safe from exile. At first, she looked angrily at them and turned away. Jason said, "Don't be angry at your friends. You ought to love those whom I love. Look what they have brought you, dear." And she looked and saw in the dark boxes the brilliant gold. She smiled then and marveled at it. And afterwards, she caressed the children. She even said that this little one's hair was like fine spun silk. And then Jason gave them these toys and we came away.
Yes. If this were all, old man, I'd have your bony loins beaten to a blood froth for the good news you bring.
Oh, but lady...
There's more, however. It will soon come. Oh, take them away from me. I cannot bear.
Children,
I cannot bear.
come quickly.
There is any mercy or forbearance in heaven, let it reach down to touch that dark mind and save it from what it dreams.
What has happened? What horror drives you? A spear's hunting behind you.
Flee for your life, Medea. I am Jason's man, but you were good to me while I was here in the house. Can you hear me? Escape, Medea!
I hear you. Your breath. Say quietly what you say.
My ears ring with the crying. My eyes are scalded. She put on the gold garments. Did you do it, Medea? You're avenged. You are horribly avenged. It is too much. The gods will hate you.
It is my care. Did anyone die with her?
Creon.
Where is Pride now? Tell me all that you saw. Speak slowly.
He tried to save her. He died. Corinth is masterless. All's in amazed confusion and some are looting. But they'll avenge him.
And the king.
I'm going on. Someone is going to die.
Comes my witness.
I've hobbled and run and fallen.
Catch your breath. Take your time. I want the whole tale. Every gesture and cry. I've labored for this.
Death is turned loose.
Please, nurse. I'm very happy. Go slowly. Tell me these things in order from the beginning. As when you used to dress me when I was little in my father's house. You used to say one thing at a time. One thing and then the next.
My eyes are blistered. Throat's like a dry straw. There was a long mirror on the wall. And when her eyes saw it, children had gone. She put her hands in the cases and took those gold things, and I watched, for I feared something might happen to her, but I never thought so horribly. She placed on her little head the bright golden wreath. She gathered the flowing gold robe round her white shoulders and slender flanks, and gazed at the golden girl in the metal mirror going back and forth on tiptoe almost, and swung her leg from the hip to see the flexible gold molding the thigh. And suddenly, horror began.
You're not suffering. You saw it. You did not feel it. Speak plainly.
Her face went white. She staggered a few steps, bending over, and fell into the great throne chair. Then a serving woman began to call for water, thinking she'd fainted, but saw the foam start on her lips and the eyes rolling, and screamed instead. And some of them ran after Jason, others ran to fetch Creon, and that doomed girl, frightfully crying, started up from the chair she ran. She was like a torch, and the golden crown like a comet streamed fire. She tore at it, but it clung to her head. The golden cloak was white-hot, flaying the flesh from the living bones. Blood mixed with fire ran down. She fell. She burned on the floor, writhing. Then Creon came and flung himself on her, hoping to choke that rage of flame, but it ran through him. His own agony made him forget his daughters. The fire stuck to the flesh, and it glued him to her. He tried to stand up. He tore her body and his own. The burnt flesh broke in lumps from the bones. No, I have no more. I finished. They lie there, eyeless, disfaced, untouchable. Middens of smoking flesh, laced with molten gold. No, I have no more. I finished. Have mercy.
Had they died when you came away?
No. The harsh tides of breath still whistle in their black mouths. No one could touch them. Jason stood in their smoke, unable, helpless. No one could touch them.
have told good news well. I reward you. As for those people, they will soon die. Their woes are over too soon. Mine are not. Jason's are not. My little falcons. Oh, listen to me. Laugh and be glad we have accomplished it. Our enemies were great and powerful. They were full of cold pride. They ruled all this country. They are down in the ashes, howling in the ashes, in their own ashes. No one has ever injured me, but suffered more than I had suffered. Therefore, this final sacrifice I intended glares in my eyes like a lion on a ridge. We still hate, you know, a person nearer than these. More vile.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right here, and here's why. Because that final act is about to happen, right? And so we know how Euripides Medea exacts her final revenge on Jason, and really, in truth, all men, because at the heart of this betrayal were the politicians and the laws and the money, and she's lashing out at the control of men on her, right? So yeah, she sacrifices her children, Pam. She kills the kids, and then she goes and finds refuge in Athens. I remember hearing Seth say that when he arrived at their house after Chris had notified him Sebastian was missing, Katie put her phone in Seth's face. Could this be vengeance? What does that mean, Katie put her phone in Seth's? Yeah, Justice Jane, you'll have to go back and watch the beginning of this video. It is an incredible performance live. Absolutely, like sitting alone, watching it uninterrupted. By the end, you're just weeping. Like it's so deep and emotional. But I don't want to do this here because, you know, it's just healthier not to, considering a lot of our content is we talk about and such. But I'll put the let me put the link to the video, and then those of you that want to go and watch the ending. Oh, okay. So she put the phone in Seth's face, and it was a picture of Sebastian. Wow. Is that right? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? I know, Daisy. Life imitating art. Life imitating art. Or you see this and then it stays with you when you find yourself betrayed and controlled by multiple men, right? They keep hurting you and controlling you. And then it all comes back in your mind. I don't know how I missed that about the telephone thing. That's crazy. Thank you for telling me about that. Absolutely, Tommy. 100%. And you know, that's the reason that there were a lot of people that were completely convinced that Shanann Watts, that when Chris said he was leaving her, that he was out, that she is the one that hurt the kids in an act like this. But I don't think so. I think when they went back to the prison, I think he pretty well told the truth about what happened. So I don't think Shanann had anything to do with it. Yeah, history repeating itself. Absolutely. Several weeks ago, the court date was the week after Sebastian went missing. There again, that's kind of hard to explain away, isn't it? I can't remember which live Seth was on. Would it have been Pascal? All right, y'all. So we have been here for 2 hours. Our one we did yesterday was like 5 hours long. Did y'all know it was that long? I was shocked. But if you came in late, I hope that you will go back to the beginning of this video where I explain why we watched Euripides Medea. Why did we watch that? What is the parallel? What is the comparison to the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers? So if you go back to the beginning of this live, watch it for about 25-30 minutes, you'll have the whole theory. And then we just went ahead and finished the play. So, but the point of the video related to true crime and such, that's at the beginning of this video. So I hope you guys will go back and watch it. I would appreciate it. I enjoyed the stream and I subscribed. Oh, live. Thank you. I'm very grateful. I appreciate that from you. Thank you so much. Time flies when you're having fun. We did have fun, Nancy. We had a lot of fun. It was a good way to spend Saturday night. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Yep. I can't believe I found people that are as nerdy as I am. You want to watch what? An old Greek tragedy? Yeah, why not? Wild and crazy Saturday night. All right. Just watched Justin on TikTok interview. Sebastian was on some strong medications. Yes, he was. Wasn't that when Seth was asking for the last proof of life? Thank you, Justice Jane. Yeah, I hope you guys will go back to the beginning and watch it, and then, leave comments, your opinions, your thoughts. Lord knows the hate, the negative comments are going to come flying in on this. I hope you guys will leave some, insulate me with some positive comments. I would appreciate it. Thank you, Donna Carter. I hope it was interesting, at least, right? It's a different take on a 100-day-old mystery, sadly. So we'll see what happens. That's all we can do. All right. You guys have a really, really great Saturday night. Y'all were super sweet to hang out with me and spend time with me. I appreciate you guys. And I'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you later. Bye.